It's gonna be like. So what if we lose? It's gonna be alright. So what if we get swept? It's gonna be alright. So what if we miss out on the money? It's gonna be alright. That he just gives you that impression.
Just getting sued. Everyone's so sensitive. YouTube was demonetizing like half my videos because they were becoming more, you know, progressive, and all their advertisers would be like, we can't have this.
You just will never be a good fighter. So I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start, but as we saw tonight, Jake has spirit.
Stephen A. Smith has publicly criticized Jake Paul, claiming his financial situation took a serious hit following lawsuits tied to accusations of manipulated boxing matches. He suggested that gambling everything on questionable decisions was a major mistake, warning that when alleged illegal behavior is uncovered, serious repercussions always follow. Smith added that once the truth begins to surface, the damage cannot be avoided, and according to various media reports, this outcome was only a matter of time.
Normal. I'm talking about people who let it cost them their money.
Yeah.
That's all I'm talking about. If it don't cost you your money, puff, puff, and pass away. Yeah.
Jake Paul has reportedly admitted that his finances collapsed, claiming he lost his wealth as several of his YouTube videos were removed over content-related problems. He allegedly stated that multiple lawsuits cost him millions of dollars, with the financial damage increasing rapidly. Despite once earning massive sums, Paul suggested that ongoing legal disputes slowly wiped out his fortune, leaving him broke. He reportedly acknowledged how fast money can vanish when someone is caught in repeated legal battles.
Can't like say the names, but there's like a firm who has stolen a bunch of money from celebrities in Los Angeles and athletes.
You don't want to say the name because you're probably going to get sued.
No, yeah. No,
That's another $1 million.
I'm probably going to sue them one day.
Jake Paul has reportedly pushed back strongly against the allegations, maintaining that he has never staged or manipulated any of his fights. He allegedly warned that he is prepared to take legal action against anyone who spreads claims he says are untrue. Paul has reportedly stressed that rigged bouts are against the law and that making false accusations is a serious offense. According to him, the allegations have no factual basis and could even fall under federal violations, prompting him to defend his reputation and professional future through the courts.
Versus Mike Tyson was 100% scripted. Mike Tyson repeatedly bit his boxing glove throughout the fight. When fights are scripted, fighters do weird gestures to signal that they're hurt. It's very possible Mike Tyson was biting on his glove to tell Jake Paul to calm down. Now, if that's not enough proof that this fight was scripted, in the middle of the fight, Mike Tyson is literally talking to Jake Paul.
Jake Paul has reportedly fired back at critics who claim his matches are fixed, arguing that those accusations come from people who don't truly understand boxing. He allegedly said many of his detractors misunderstand the sport and overlook the planning and tactics that go into every fight. According to Paul, the backlash is misplaced, and those calling his bouts rigged simply lack the knowledge needed to recognize the skill and complexity involved in professional boxing.
All of us thinking that you was rigging those fights, though. I ain't gonna lie.
You honestly believe that?
I wanted to believe it when you fought Woodley.
Rampage.
Because I'm an MMA guy.
Anyone who believes that narrative, it's like, come on. You think Anderson Silva's gonna lose? You think Woodley's gonna take a fall? You know these guys.
Yeah, no, I didn't think Anderson would take a fall.
People think the Mike Tyson fight's rigged. I try to understand.
Tunny Jeff has come out in support of Jake Paul, pushing back against claims that Mike Tyson was pulling his punches. He reportedly explained that Tyson wasn't holding back at all, arguing that if a clean, full-power shot had been thrown in that moment, Jake would have immediately countered. According to Jeff, many critics misread what happened in the ring because they lack a real understanding of boxing. He suggested that the accusations ignore the timing, technique, and strategic decision-making involved, making those criticisms both unfair and uninformed.
Sad that Mike Tyson has got to do this fight. This is what I wrote on Instagram, and someone commented saying he doesn't have to do it, he's choosing to do it. And then I thought, you know, you're right, he is choosing to do it, but why is he choosing to do it? Well, he's doing it for one reason and one reason only, and that is the money. He's getting paid so much money to do this, so that tells me he's getting bought. So again, it is sad that someone like Mike Tyson can get bought, because this guy is an absolute legend. He shouldn't be able to get bought like this. He's 57 years old. He needs to be enjoying retirement. Now, I don't think that I've got the wealth that Mike Tyson's got, but if someone offered me $20 million to fight Jake Paul, I would say no, because I care too much about my brain health, about my children, about my family, where it seems like he is being bored. And I'm not trying to disrespect the man. I absolutely love the man. It's just so bloody.
At the same time, commentators associated with the Joe Rogan podcast have raised doubts about Jake Paul's bout with Mike Tyson, suggesting the matchup may not have been entirely genuine. They reportedly pointed out that Tyson appeared explosive and dangerous during training sessions, yet showed noticeably restrained aggression during the actual fight. According to their analysis, his punches seemed measured rather than unleashed, and his overall intensity didn't match what fans typically expect from him. These observers believe the contrast hints at a fight that was closely controlled instead of fully competitive. They also noted that the rhythm, timing, and in-ring reactions felt adjusted, leading some viewers to question whether the contest was carefully orchestrated.
To test himself against actual, not just world champion, but one of the greatest of all time.
Are the fights even real? Like the Tyson fight? Like I saw video breakdowns of Tyson not throwing punches early on in that fight. I don't know if you watched any of those videos where like there's a left hook is 100% available. Tyson on in training 99% of the time releases that punch and he held up. Like, do you think that was a real fight?
It looked like sparring to me. That's what it looked like.
But like with an arrangement beforehand? Like,
I wouldn't want to speculate because I haven't talked to anybody about it. But my educated assessment,
agreed.
Yes,
agreed.
It looked like sparring.
Jake Paul's recent matchup against Anthony Joshua was surrounded by speculation that he intended to influence the fight through calculated tactics and ring awareness to gain an advantage. However, those efforts reportedly fell short, as Paul appeared more concerned with protecting himself than asserting control over the contest. While observers acknowledged moments of solid defensive work, his overall game plan came across as reserved, highlighting the challenge of competing against an elite fighter like Joshua. Analysts noted that despite preparation and strategic intent, the bout revealed how difficult it can be to fully execute a plan at the highest level, proving that even well-thought-out approaches can unravel in the unpredictable world of professional boxing.
For him in terms of what he's doing in the boxing ring.
Listen, so long as people will tune in and so long as Jake Paul is paid by Netflix or any broadcaster to air his fights, we're going to see this continue. And Jake Paul knows his business model, right? Now, this deviated, this AJ fight, which came together kind of last minute after the Tank Davis fight fell apart. But we know Jake Paul's MO here. It's find the most popular guy with the most physical disadvantages for me to fight. And Jake Paul has the benefit that he's turned himself into a villain, or in the pro wrestling circles, a heel. People tune in to watch. We did not tune into this fight to see competitive boxing. Most of us tuned in because we thought, here's Anthony Joshua. Here's a two-time unified heavyweight champion, a guy who physically just overwhelms Jake Paul. And we're finally going to get what Tyron Woodley and Anderson Silva, Nate Diaz were not physically fit, whether it be through their size, experience, or age, to do, and that is knock out Jake Paul. And so, because I don't really feel like we got that satisfying comeuppance that a lot of people have been waiting for, it kind of gives Jake Paul a little bit of mystique, I'd almost say, to still try and string this along. Now, I don't know in terms, he says he wants to be cruiserweight champion. I'm not quite sure what the competitive road there is, because let's make no mistake, the reason this fight lasted as long as it did is because Jake Paul focused exclusively on being elusive. He did his best, and kudos to him, right? He did a great job of not getting cornered. He was always on the gas until the gas sort of fell out from underneath him. And so I don't quite know, short of leveraging his popularity, how he's going to get to that title shot if he's not actually going to fight, like really fight.
Confusion spread among viewers during the 7th round of Jake Paul's bout with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. when some fans claimed that online platforms had already declared Paul the winner before the fight officially ended. These early announcements fueled heated discussions across social media, prompting many to question whether the match was entirely authentic. Critics argue that this moment fits into a broader trend seen throughout Paul's career. Observers have frequently pointed to a pattern involving carefully chosen opponents, aggressive media-driven promotion, and outcomes that appear heavily tilted in his favor.
As you are watching this video, Jake Paul and Julio Cesar Chavez are currently right now in the 7th round of their fight. But when you go to Google and Google the fight, it gives an accurate breakdown of all their past fights. And then it comes to the current fight, and it says that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. loses a unanimous decision to Jake Paul in 2025. The fight has not even played out yet. Yet they're saying that this is the end results as they are fighting right now, currently as it stands. This leans testament to the fact that people state that Jake Paul has his fights fixed. What's your thoughts on this? This is nasty work. Unbelievable. This is Google. Google it.
Jake Paul's fight with Chavez Jr. was far from the first to face heavy scrutiny. Many observers believe his bouts frequently sit at the crossroads of legitimate competition and entertainment-driven spectacle. Fans have pointed out a recurring trend that includes facing opponents beyond their peak, staging fights built for maximum audience appeal, and situations that appear to tilt the odds in Paul's favor. Because of these carefully managed elements, critics argue that his career prioritizes showmanship and hype over consistently testing himself against evenly matched, prime-level opponents.
Important and quite serious news in the combat sports world. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, it's come out now. It was rigged. I can't believe it. You know, you have to question the validity of boxing these days when you can't trust two professionals to get in the ring and do their best against each other. And instead you find out Mike Tyson pulling his punches, not trying to hurt Jake Paul. Absolute disgrace. I thought better of them. You know, I really did. I thought that Mike Tyson, especially, Iron Mike, he was just going to go in there and knock Jake clean out. But here he is, not trying.
Chael Sonnen weighed in on the situation, pointing out how uncommon it is for a fighter with just 11 professional bouts to be matched against opponents who possess deep experience and even Olympic backgrounds. According to Sonnen, putting a relatively inexperienced professional into such high-pressure matchups doesn't make much sense from a competitive standpoint. He suggested that these fights often feel designed to generate compelling storylines rather than reflect true, evenly balanced competition.
Cheering for Jake, or if I think that Joshua is more experienced or better, I believe in I believe boxing's real. If boxing is an actual sport, if it is an actual sweet science, then of course a guy that's done it 11 times cannot compete with the Olympic champion. Of course. This is before you get size in there, before you get professional world titles in there. A guy that's done this 11 times cannot go into the Olympic Games and medal. If boxing, in fact, should be believed. I was with Portnoy. I liked it. I liked how he said that. So, you know, that's how I feel too. Because I'm also cheering for Jake Paul. But I get it. I know we're not going to win tonight. But that's a compliment to boxing. And it is very hard for people to digest that Anthony Joshua can't cut him off. He can't find him. He can't do anything with that reach. He can't go out there and rush him. He can't throw this kid in a corner and beat him up. That is disappointing to me. That is baffling to me. As an MMA guy, I will just share with you, that would not be a problem at all. At all. If a guy's running away from me, it would be absolutely no problem. And you can put the boundaries at the city line. You can put it at the state line. I will track him down. I will put him somewhere and I will beat the dog out of him. So in a ring, I get where that is really disappointing. I get it, but it doesn't change the fact that that's what happened. And then Joshua, by the way, has the right to turn to some other things. Where I'm saying he had to cut him off, grab him, throw him in the corner, go beat him up. While I'm saying that, Joshua has the right to go, nah, I could feel some stuff. I knew it was going to come my way, right? For Joshua to say, well, I had the experience, and yeah, he was moving, and yeah, I could have cut him off a little different. But I didn't mind the way this was going. I didn't mind that he was running. I knew he would slow down. I knew he would come to me eventually. Like, for that to be Joshua's mindset.
Joe Rogan added further perspective to the debate, noting that Jake Paul has long tried to establish himself as a serious and credible fighter. Rogan acknowledged Paul's willingness to step into the ring and test himself against real opponents. However, he also pointed out that the repeated pattern of opponent selection and carefully controlled fight settings continues to raise doubts about how much of the competition is genuine versus strategically managed to advance Paul's career. That discussion also extends to Paul's matchup with Anthony Joshua. Analysts such as Ariel Helwani have argued that Joshua had little incentive to take unnecessary chances simply for money. Already financially secure, Joshua's priority was protecting his reputation and long-term legacy rather than chasing a high-risk payday. This helps explain his measured, defensive approach in the ring and highlights how differently the stakes were perceived by each fighter.
The head is open. Upstairs is open. And I was surprised that he wasn't going there. But, you know, any of this nonsense, script, bullshit. Like, if you subscribe to that notion, you're an absolute idiot. You're an absolute idiot. There is no reason for, you know, first of all, you go to jail. Why would Netflix, the biggest streaming platform in the world, partake in anything like that? Just use your brain. And MVP, too much to lose. You go to jail. Federal effing prison. AJ, like, for what? For what? He doesn't need it. He doesn't need more money. It's great. But to risk this? No, look at what's going on with the gambling. No way. There's no way. My respect for Jake has grown. I know people don't like to give him credit. You fight amateur, influencer, pro boxing. You have my respect. I don't care what kind of fighter you are. I don't care how many wins you have. You step through those ropes. You have my respect. He lasted 6 rounds. Most didn't think he would. I think the line as far as how many rounds was 2.5. So clearly, most people thought he would be out of there around that point, and I think a lot of people were going with the under. He had some moments. He had the antics. You know, obviously the takedowns and all that weren't great, but golly, I think he was tired. You know, the ring was bigger, and everyone said that was going to benefit him, the 22x22 ring. But you know, cardio has been an issue for him, and so when you're circling and dancing, you're gonna get tired. You're gonna gas out, and I think that happened. Arms were down, and he was getting pinned. He was getting cornered, and he was getting, you know, AJ was doing a great job, I think, of not letting the fight be contested in the middle of the ring, cornering him either in the middle, like the turnbuckle, or up against the ropes. He was cutting him off perfectly. And so I know people are going to be upset that AJ...
And Raphael offered additional perspective by breaking down the dynamics of Jake Paul's fight with Anthony Joshua. He acknowledged Paul's durability, crediting him for surviving as long as he did, and explained that Paul's careful, defense-first approach, while unpopular with many fans, was realistically the only strategy that allowed him to last several rounds against an elite fighter like Joshua. According to Raphael, the bout underscores the difficulty of crossing from spectacle-driven matchups into true top-tier professional competition. He added that this pattern isn't limited to fights against Joshua or Chavez Jr., as critics have long argued that Paul's opponents are often strategically selected to boost viewer interest while keeping real danger to a minimum.
I mean, yeah, like you said, you know, did it go 6 rounds and last, you know, a few longer? I'll give credit to Jake for hanging in there. Part of it was because he employed an extremely unfriendly for fans style, but it was the only way he could do it if he wanted to survive that many rounds, which is to basically get on his bicycle and ride around the ring for a bunch of rounds and then get off his bicycle and run, you know, like a criminal at night after the cops show up. So it is what it is. I mean, it'll be the fact that it still resonated shows you the interest that there was in the fight, and certainly that knockout was a viral clip. And you know, I'll quote the great philosopher Eddie Hearn. You know, we're going to take care of Jake Paul and on to the real boxing in 2026.
Yeah, the great philosopher.
Eddie will like that.
Yeah, he will. I might take that out because he'll like it too much. Look, in terms of AJ now, look, I think he's always in a no-win situation. I think unless he flattened him within 10 seconds, someone would have something to say. Whether it be before the fight and why is he doing this? Look, we know why he's doing it. Like, and it helps him, I suppose, in the US market as well in terms of coming over here and making a big splash. But do you understand where some people maybe have been a bit critical with how long it's taken, or is it the fact that you fight a guy who's that, like you mentioned there, he's a novice boxer and he's moving around the ring? Was it down to Anthony to cut him off sooner, or do you see why it went that long?
I mean, look, Anthony certainly could have done a better job cutting the ring off, and Anthony Joshua was the first one to say so himself after the ring. I mean, I've always viewed Joshua as pretty honest when it comes to assessing his own.
Podcast host Wade strongly criticized the decision to place a 58-year-old opponent in the ring for one of Jake Paul's fights, arguing that such a matchup would never be acceptable under normal competitive standards. He suggested that both the setup and the outcome appeared prearranged, driven more by financial motives than by sporting integrity. This belief is reinforced, he said, when recurring patterns are considered, such as selective opponent choices, heavy media promotion, and tightly controlled fight pacing. Despite the ongoing criticism, Paul continues to present himself as a legitimate fighter, consistently pursuing high-profile matchups while maintaining a constant media spotlight. Still, the controversy surrounding his bouts refuses to fade. Many observers acknowledge his physical ability and stamina but argue that the managed nature of his fights, often involving opponents past their prime, cautious tactics, and large-scale promotion, creates the impression that spectacle outweighs genuine competition. As a result, fans and analysts remain divided over whether Paul's career represents an authentic athletic challenge or a carefully orchestrated series of events designed to sustain attention and profitability.
Of course, at 58, I think a lot of people in that ring could have hurt Mike because, again, Mike did not look like he should be in a ring. But we just saw this whole experiment. We don't need a Logan and Mike Tyson fight after this. For Logan to clearly not get the joke and disrespect Mike to his face after he had just fought Jake in this amazing event, and all you can really do is give him his flowers because that's what you should do right then. Logan has to take it another level and continue to be the asshole. So again, the self-awareness on Logan Paul, whether it's Lunchley or Prime or anything to do with crypto, the guy just doesn't give a fuck about anybody but himself. But then, like I said, Jake didn't really call anybody out in the post-fight presser, in his post-fight interview with Ariel, but the internet went ablaze over, him fighting Mike and how are you continuing to fight these older guys and Mike being 58. And
that wraps up today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.